A beautiful Texas morning. You know, I didn't even have my breakfast yet, and I figured, to sit in the sun a little bit. Well, out of the sun, of course, because we don't want to get a tan, because too much tan, I'm going to look like oak. And this great-looking face looking like oak, I don't know if it's a great thing. I also found out that if you squeeze in the sun the whole time, you get a lot of wrinkles. Because when you squeeze, you see, that's where the sun doesn't get any sun. The skin doesn't get any sun, the sun. And that's why it looks like you have more wrinkles, so you got to watch out with that. That's why always people tell me you should have used sunscreen from when you were small, and always shades, because then you have no wrinkles. But hey, we're talking about health, right? And this is part of health. Why not? So anyway, well, let me put some ice in there. We're going to talk about how to stay relaxed. The day, the week, and the 2 weeks before the fight, and especially, of course, the day of the fight. This is important that we make sure that we stay calm, because a relaxed mind, and I will go over that in a bit, is always the very best, right? Let's think about it. So, what should you not, and what should you do over the last 2 weeks before a fight? I'm talking about a fight, but this can apply to every sporting event, of course, because nerves, we find them everywhere. I always talk about this. Imagine being the basketball player, right? And at the very end, you have to score one goal. And you've been doing that, if you say 100,000 times, I don't think I'm exaggerating. That's how many times you shot. But now the whole game depends on that one shot. And then to still land it, those guys have nerves of steel. And this is important because this is fighting the same thing. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. The dojo fighters, well, top of the morning to you, by the way. Oh, yeah, very nice. So, what to do and what not to do. First of all, you shouldn't be sparring anymore. This is important. Don't spar anymore. If you feel like the last 10 days, 12 days before the fight, you still need to put some sparring sessions in, you timed everything wrong. You did it wrong. You timed your training camp wrong. 2 or 3 extra training sessions is not going to do anything for you. So stay away from it. Only bad things can happen. A little cut can already stop the fight. By the way, talking about cuts. If you have, for instance, a problem, a knee problem, a neck problem, whatever problem you have, and you go to the doctor before the fight, let's say 3 weeks out before the fight, and he gives you a cortisone shot, watch out. Because that means your white blood cells, they don't work as well, so you don't clot as much. Then if you get a cut, if you receive a cut during training, it's not going to close. So really watch out with that, okay? So it's good to help with everything, with the infections, it's good for that. But just know that if you get cut while having a cortisone shot, it's not going to be good for you. So sparring is out, fighting is out, training is out, hard training is out. Now we need to focus on being relaxed and eating the right food. Now let's talk about right food right away. How can we figure out, and by the way, all this comes by trial and error from myself. So don't look at me and oh, this guy's got an answer to everything. Yes, I have an answer to everything, a lot of things, because I made every mistake in the book. But because of that, I learned from my mistakes. I'm now able to bring this over to you. If you're a beginner fighter or whatever sport you have, and endurance is needed and a relaxed mind is needed, I would really start paying attention, because this is going to be a really great little half hour for you, whatever time it's going to take. So relaxation is everything. Food. What do we do and how we find out what food is correct and what food is not correct for you? Now for me and for a lot of other people, shellfish and I believe it's also in lamb meat can make you build up more lactic acid. If that's the case, try it out first and see if it happens to you. I believe it's a high percentage of people having it. And then stop eating that, at least before you have to do an endurance, right? This is very important, endurance sport, before you have to compete. Really great. So what you want to do is you want to log everything. This is how I figured everything out myself. You log every single day, you write everything down, what you eat. In the morning, cup of coffee, write a cup of coffee down. With sugar, without sugar, write every single thing that you eat, write it down. Then when you come back, so during the whole day, everything, right? Breakfast, middle, and everything you take, write it down. This is very important. Then after every workout, you're going to also put on the calendar how your workout went. If it was a good workout, less workout, what happened, building up lactic acid. And if you do that on a separate calendar, that will be great. Calendar is the way we pronounce it in Holland, by the way. calendar, that would be great, because then you don't start cross-referencing right away from the get-go. And this is important. So you do this for 30 days, and 30 days you write down every single workout, how it went. Then after 30 days you put the two calendars together, and you're going to start finding out what days did you have your best workout. And you cross those off, and then you're going to look at what you ate before those workouts, or maybe even the day before what you ate. And you're going to find out that most of the time it's the food that makes you perform at a higher level. But this goes both ways, of course. It's also food that will make you perform at a lesser level. So now you're going to figure out, oh, I was drinking glasses of milk right there, and my workout didn't well. Okay, if that comes back, oh, there I did it again, and the workout was bad again. And then if it comes back 1 or 2 more times, now you know that milk for you it's not good before a workout. So you want to scratch that out, take it away. You can use it after you fought, after your training camp, do whatever you want to do, but before the training camp, I wouldn't do it. Like for instance, for me, I used to eat 6 slices of whole wheat bread in the morning, and I would put marmalade jelly on it. And apparently the peel, that's how I felt, from the orange, takes care of my lactic acid. I always felt great when I used that. So what did I do? For many years, I've been eating the same freaking breakfast. I will wake up at like say 5 in the morning. I would eat 6 or 8 slices of bread. I will go back to bed, try to sleep 2 more hours, then get out and then have my first workout, because now my food is also digested. It's really nice and relaxed, very important. So, stretching. You're going to have to stretch a lot, because this is important before the fight, and especially if you're dehydrating, right, from cutting weight. Ooh. Just make sure that your muscles get stretched. This is so important, because if you're dehydrating them, that means also you're dehydrating your tendons and your muscles from fluids, and that's of course never good, especially when you're in training, because you might pull a muscle or pull a tendon. This is very important not to do. So make sure that that doesn't happen, okay? But I also would like to say is, so stretching a lot. Power training, let's talk about that. Let's don't do power training a lot. Especially 12 days before the fight, I would cut it out for 2 weeks. No power training. Why wouldn't you do that, boss? First of all, 2-3 more sessions is not going to make you any stronger. Don't worry about it. If you do power training, do it with light weights. Don't do heavy weights. You want to be completely relaxed. Your muscles need to be completely relaxed. We're going to talk about breathing in a little bit. And I know a lot of these guys out there, you think that you breathe correct, but you won't. You know, 95% of us breathing wrong. I was breathing wrong when I was competing, and my breathing completely changed. It's a big thing. But what I'm trying to say is, when you do power training, your muscles are getting tight, and once your muscles are getting tight, and especially around your chest area. I saw a guy bench press the day before the fight. That was the Pride Fighting Championships. I go, that's the dumbest thing that you can do, because all those muscles, when they get tight, you can't expand your chest. Now let's talk about that. What happens if you can't expand your chest? Well, first of all, you can't drink. Second of all, you can't breathe. You see, lungs are just 2 bags. There's not a muscle in your lungs. You can't have strong lungs, what people say. You can have healthy lungs, but not strong lungs. Your breathing muscles are the muscles responsible for opening up your chest. And once your chest opens, there's a vacuum between the body and the lungs that will open up your lungs. I always say this in interviews, because it blew my mind when I heard this for the very first time, or when I figured it out. It's like your chest doesn't expand because you put air in it. No, your chest expands, and that's how you pull the air in. It's a complete different mindset if you know how breathing really works. So the more you can expand your chest, the easier it will be for you to fill up your lungs. Now, what did I say? If you do power training, all those muscles getting tired, tight, you can't expand your chest anymore. So what I would do in Japan, and at that time I didn't know anything about breathing yet, right? What I always would do was sit-ups, and everybody thought I was crazy. Why would you do sit-ups? Because it's going to stop you from breathing, right? Because everything gets tighter. But then what I always would do as well is stretch myself out. I would have my partner stand with his back against my back, and then we would hook arms, and then he would lean over, and I would stretch out my abs. That's what I thought. And yes, I was stretching out my abs as well, but what I was also stretching out were my intercostal muscles. The intercostal muscles are the muscles in between your rib cage. And those muscles, your external intercostal muscles, are also responsible for breathing in. So the more you relax that chest, the more you stretch your chest muscles, the easier it is for you to breathe. And bada bing, bada boom, that's why I always did it, because I just felt I could breathe much better. So if you do breathing work, like for instance, if you have an O2 trainer, this is an inspiratory muscle trainer. And if you don't believe what this thing does, go to the website o2trainer.com. There's a tab called Science. click on that tab, and now you will see a bunch of published medical journals. Now, if you click on the published medical journal, it will bring you to the published medical journal website. Once you're there, just try it out. In the search bar, put in inspiratory muscle training. Just that. Hit send, and then see what happens. You're gonna get 1,500 freaking published medical journals about inspiratory muscle training and what it does for you. If you are an athlete that needs endurance for the sport, you're the dumbest person not to focus on that. I guarantee you, the dumbest person. Because if you can expand your chest maximally, you can pull up the air, the maximum amount of air into your lungs. Know that if you breathe like this, which what I was breathing like this, chest breathing is what they call this, vertical breathing is also called. 4 to 6 of these breaths is the same as one diaphragmatic breath, a horizontal breath as we call it in the course. We shot this course, Breathing for Warriors. If you really want to go into breathing, breathingforwarriors.com. Check it out. Dr. Belisa Vranic, a world-renowned breathing expert, and myself, we went on there. I studied like a freaking maniac. Everything. I sound really smart. Well, that was her. I mean, she gave me a lot of things to study, and now I do know a lot about breathing, and that's why it blows me away that if people, athletes don't pay attention to it. You know, if you go to the most highest talented athletes in the world, the Olympics, all those endurance coaches, is the first thing they do. Athlete comes in, take the shirt off, see how they breathe. And if they breathe incorrect, which 95% of the time you will be breathing incorrect, that's what they're going to be focusing on. This is important, okay? So more chest expansion, the better it is. I'm going to leave it alone for now because otherwise you're going to think this is a freaking plug. But trust me. Oh, one thing I would like to leave with. This is a good one. Imagine you have two clones. I told this story before in an interview. If you imagine you have two clones, right? And both these guys, they decide to, everything is identical. The fingerprints are identical. The DNA is identical. They do everything the same. They eat the same, drink the same, sleep the same, get the same information. And suddenly they decide to do a competition between the two of them, a triathlon. They want to see who's the best. And they're going to give themselves 10 weeks to prepare. And then we have the running coach comes in. And these guys sit next to each other. The running coach gives them exactly the same information. So they hear everything at the same time. Then the swim coach comes in, same thing. Cycling coach comes in. And they all get the same information at the same time. They eat the same again. They do everything the same. The only difference is that one of the two also works out his breathing muscles. By the way, you have 11 pounds of breathing muscles. So that guy, his chest can expand maximally. Who do you think is going to win the triathlon? With all the things that I just said. Now you know your answer. So that means if you don't pay attention to it, Tony Ferguson, everybody's Tony Ferguson. Oh my God, he's got such an incredible stamina always. Well, look how he breathes. He's got the perfect breath. He breathed already using his core. Look at other fighters breathe. I was like that as well. Okay, now I'm going to stop because I want to drink. Ooh. Okay, so the nerves. You're 2 weeks out before the fight. And there could be some nerves, especially if this is your very first fight. So this is really great for amateurs who just started fighting. I wish I had that information because that would have helped me a lot. Because I was one of those guys who was really good in the gym. I was a dojo fighter, as they call it. I was very technical. I would just clean everybody up. But then during a fight, I wasn't that technical. Thankfully for me, I'm getting too fast. I was just a very powerful guy, and I was just able to knock a lot of people out. But against really good opponents, that would have been trouble. I didn't bring that game from the nice and safe environment of the dojo to the fight yet. And that all started in Japan. Suddenly, that's where everything started to become nice and relaxed. But if somebody would have told me this story, that would have helped me tremendously. So imagine, this is what I tell my students. If they're 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, doesn't really matter, and they're nervous for a fight. I go, okay, let's shake of the argument. Let's imagine your opponent walks in right now, in our gym. I'm going to put you both in a room. We're going to close the doors. Nobody can look in. You guys just going to fight each other. And then you are not allowed to tell everybody else who won or who lost. You're going to keep that for yourselves. So when you open the door, would you care if you would lose? Now, every single student till now said, no, I wouldn't care. And that means that you're not fighting for yourself. That means that you're fighting to please other people. if you are the same. So don't do that. Don't please other people. Other people will spit you out after 2-3 losses. Other people will tell you what to do while they never trained. Other people say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that, while they do some karate lessons. And I'm sorry to say everybody, but a lot of karate gyms and taekwondo gyms here in the States are really not up to par. Trust me, it's a money-making machine. I'm always talking about this with my my daughters. They did karate, and I never saw them practice. And then I saw them walk a kata when they went for the yellow belt. It was the dumbest thing ever. They were just moving around and doing some stuff. It was not what they needed to know. And guess what? They both passed. And the guy comes to me and he says, congratulations. I said, for what? I said, you let him pass. You shouldn't have not have let him pass. They didn't know what they were doing. He says, oh, but and then at the end of the conversation he said, oh, we'll see you Monday. I say, no, we're out. Because, you know, if you don't teach a kid that they actually have to learn something in order to get further, that is just not a good thing in my book. You know, some other people like it because it's nice and dandy. In my book, it's really not. So, what I'm trying to say is, relaxation is everything, knowledge is everything. If you prepared yourself, you're going to be just fine. If you're nice and relaxed, your mind is going to work really fast. It's going to be really good for you in the fight and in the dressing room as well. So, don't think about other people. If somebody would ask me, are you fighting for your family? I go, no, I fight for myself. They would always look at me like I'm an ass. But I'm not, you know, because if I put the pressure on me for fighting for my family, well, that's a lot of pressure. And now I might not perform as well. And once I do that, well, then I might lose. And once I lose, well, I'm not going to get more money. Now, if I don't care about the family just for that moment, and I'm nice and relaxed and don't care about what anybody is going to say to me, I fight at my very best. And once I fight at my very best, chances are I'm going to win. And once I win, I get more money, and now the family is automatically taken care of. You see what I mean? It's all interacting. You can all put it together. Stay nice, stay calm and relaxed. In the dressing room, this is important, you want to stay nice and calm and relaxed. Now, I understand there's fighters out there that really need to be hyped up before the fight. Smacked in the face. I never understood it, but I understand there's people that were different than me. I need the opposite. Because I'm a hyper guy myself as well, I need to calm down. This is very important. So you come in my dressing room and you start going, I'm going to kick this guy's out. I'm out. You're out. You're not allowed to be in my dressing room. I had a funny one. I'm not going to say that, but it was at the sort of fight. Somebody helped me, and he taught me to give me a little extra oomph under my butt. So just before the fight, he took me outside. Said, can I talk to you, boss? I said, sure. And he says, listen, man, this guy tries to take food away from you and your family. I go, hey, stop right there. He goes, what? I said, I don't need this talk. He goes, you sure? I said, no, I don't need this talk. I don't want to be angry. Because once you're angry, you're going to make mistakes. Anger doesn't work for anything. If you have two fighters who are equally skilled, I always say this, the one with the most stamina is probably going to win, but also the one who is completely under control of himself. That guy is probably going to win the fight. So it's very important to stay calm and relaxed. Don't get emotions coming in. Now, there was a fight in Japan, we're going to talk about this, that made me very angry. So what happened was this. I retired from Pancrase, and for you people at home, that was an organization in Japan I was fighting for, but then I moved to the UFC, and I was supposed to fight Randy Couture in October. I remember that, in October, whatever the date was. The fight, by the way, never happened, before I forget to say that, but it never happened because I don't know what happened. It became somebody else. So they called me in, I think in August or so, or in July, the Pancrase, and they say, hey, listen, we're losing fans. We would really love you to fight for us on our September card. It's the anniversary, it's 25 years or 20 years, whatever it was an anniversary date. If you could please fight. I said, listen, I'm going to freaking face Randy Couture. I don't think it's a smart thing. That's a month later. If I get injured, you know, that's a problem. And these guys went like, no, it's okay. We'll make sure that you have a beginner fighter. And I go, oh, yeah, that's a nice little thing. So nice and relaxed. Okay, you know what? I'll take that fight. And then I will just simply take him down. I'm not going to hit him because I don't want to hurt my hands. And I'm not going to kick because I don't want to hurt my feet. So I'm going to be ready for Randy Couture. Cool. So I took the fight to help them out. So I go to Japan, and then 2 days before the fight, I'm talking to Guy Metzger. We're walking on the street. And suddenly he drops a big one for me. He says, you know they trained this guy for you, right? And I said, ooh. He says, the fighter you're going to face. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, He used to be a professional rugby player in Japan. He's a big guy. And he started training with Funaki. And then they got this camaraderie already. So Funaki started training him. And then Funaki fought you. And you beat him. And he vowed that he wanted to have revenge. And he wanted to beat me. So they trained him for like a year or whatever it was. For some time. Specifically for me. And I go, are you sure about that? He goes, yes, I'm sure about that. Ooh, now I'm angry. Now, I always tell this to my students, watch that fight of me. Because that is the most horrible fight I ever fought. I knocked him out. I was, like I said, I had a lot of power and that was my blessing, but it wasn't pretty. I lost control. That was the first time that I took somebody down. He was on the ground. Normally, I wouldn't hit him, and now I hit him. I remember while I hit the guy on the ground, the owner of Pancras came to the corner. He says, please, Mr. Rutten, relax. I said, no, dude. I do that because of you. I mean, I thought it was so backstabbing, to do that, to train a guy personally for me. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is emotions will get you in trouble. Stay away from emotions. You already saw the fight playing in the background. That doesn't look good, right? It's really bad. And thankfully, like I said, I was able to pull it off. But for the rest, stay far away from emotions. Now, I also fought guys where I thought, like Funaki, I've been talking about this in interviews. He did this before a fight to me. But that was in the ring. So I didn't have too much time to think about. I did look at my corner and I said, oh, I'm going to kill this guy right now. And they go, no, stay calm, stay calm. I said, don't worry about it. I will stay calm. But you watch, when I connect with him, I'm going to go all the way. And I did. It was one of my best fights in Pancras. Actually, his also, because I will talk about that fight one time, so you can see the whole fight. It's kind of a cool fight. So relaxation in the dressing room, way before the fight, everything needs to be relaxed. Make sure that you know what you're going to do. Now, if you're still nervous, and especially in fighting, break everything down. This was a way for me to just avoid fear. I wish I could do it in everything in life, like that, because somehow I have not been able to do that. But there I would simply break it down. I would tell myself, if I would be nervous, what are you nervous for? What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen, I will tell you right now. That's a mismatch. That's the guy just dominating you, paf, hits you, you fall on the ground, and he just walks away. He said, no, get up, get up, get up. I want to enjoy this. I'm going to really beat you up. That would be the very worst case scenario. Well, with good matchmaking, that's never going to happen. Okay, so what's the next worst thing? You get knocked out in front of people. Well, if you don't care about the people, you should care about them, but not at that particular moment. That's not really that bad. For what I understand, a knockout, you don't even feel it. You just wake up. So blessedly, thankfully, I've never been knocked out. But you just wake up. So is that really that bad? Okay. So if I get in an armbar and I decide not to tap, well, he might break my arm. It's kind of me, right? I'm dumb. If I'm just, I can't escape anymore, I tap. He lets go. If he chokes me, I can get choked out. I never understood these people. They go, I'd rather get choked out. Why would you rather get choked out? What does that prove? If you know absolutely 100% that you can't escape anymore, and while you're struggling, try to escape, maybe you get choked out, but to let yourself on purpose to get choked out, I don't see the toughness in that. Why would you do that? If I know that I cannot escape anymore, I tap. I tried every possible thing, and if it doesn't work anymore, so stay away from that. It's not natural. A lot of people say it's actually good for you. I don't know about that, if it's good for you, so stay far away from that. So, what does it mean? You're not going to be overmatched. When you have a submission, you're simply going to tap. There's nothing that really can happen. There's a referee. If you get knocked out and the guy wants to give you a few extra shots, there's a referee who pulls the guy off. It's really not that bad. It looks worse on the outside because people also in a cage, if you fight in a cage, you put animals in a cage. That's what they always think, right? So don't worry about it. Fighting is really not. You know what's dangerous? What I always say? Those guys with the motorcycles who make 3 somersaults and then land and then keep going, mess up in that. See what happens. I mean, that's career-ending stuff might happen there. So watch out. Did we go over everything? The food, yes. So watch out. The day of the fight, the food. What I would do, I would eat at least 4 hours before the match. I would eat super clean food. I would bring like 2.5 cups of oatmeal, and I would just devour that, and just with water, not with milk, just with water. No honey, no sugar, no nothing, no salt, just that. and then 4 hours later it's completely digested into your system, and trust me, you're going to have enough energy. Make sure you have a real good warm-up. This is important as well. You want to have your second wind, that's what I wanted, to go into the fight. Now, if you've been training with the Auto Trainer for a long time, this is your second wind. So once you warm up your diaphragm with this, great. If you have an Auto Trainer, you just got it, and in 2 weeks is your fight, and you think this is going to help you, or it's not going to help you. It might actually backfire. So I wouldn't do it. And why is that? It's a weird thing what I'm saying, right? If I have a product that I want to sell, and now I say it might be backfiring, yeah. If you do it too much. Because you're working out your breathing muscles. If you work out your breathing muscles, you're working out muscles that you never trained before. They're going to get tired. What happens if they're tired and then you have to start fighting? It's not a good thing. It's like doing biceps curls and then you're a mover, you have to start moving boxes. That's not a good combination, right? Because now your muscles are more tired, you just worked them out. Now, if you've been training a month with this thing, it's a whole different animal. Now your breathing muscles are updated, and that means, like before I do a conditioning workout, I'm actually using this because preliminary studies have been saying that your second wind is actually your diaphragm being warmed up. So for me, before an endurance workout, I'll do it. But if you never did the Auto Trainer, just wait till after your fight, then start using the Auto Trainer, and for a month straight, and don't worry about the first workouts. You say, oh my God, it's harder. Yes, it's harder because you just worked out your breathing muscles. But once they're updated, you're going to fly through your workouts. You're going to delay your gassing so much further. It's going to be crazy. So, also very important, when I talked about food, don't be tricked into the day before the fight to go to some freaking McDonald's sushi place, you know, where you're going to get food poisoning. Why would I say that? Because I know guys who actually did that, and then the next day they had food poisoning and they had to compete. You're the dumbest person on the planet. I've been pretty stupid my life. That I would never do. I will bring my own food. I'll bring loaves of bread from Holland. Crazy, right? And on the streets in Japan, sounds like I'm on the streets of Japan, but in the good way. I would just eat noodles. Noodles with bouillon. No crazy things in there, no chicken on it, just noodles, just carb up. This is important. So the day before the fight, watch out what you eat. Don't go to a cheap place. I would eat my own food. This is all part of your training. This is very important. Another thing that you want to do, if you're traveling to a different state or different country, put everything that you have to fight in into your carry-on. Don't put it in the suitcase because things might get lost. Also, I have had people who didn't have their favorite fight shorts, or maybe they didn't have their mouthpiece. I mean, a mouthpiece is a big thing. You don't want to make a shitty mouthpiece in hot water. You don't want to stay away from that. If you're a professional fighter and you don't have a professional mouthpiece, you shouldn't be a professional fighter. I've seen guys, like the mouthpiece falls out. That means they have one of those shitty things that they heat up and then they try to make it themselves. That's your job. Get a good set of a mouth guard. This is the most important thing there is. You got only one set of teeth, right? So make sure, Unbreakable actually, they make really good mouth guards. They help me a lot and my students as well. They're really great people. So this is very important. Things before the fight, emotions also, I've talked it already. I want to talk a little bit about emotions more. This is also before the fight. It happened with Conor McGregor when he fought Nate Diaz for the very first time. Remember that fight? Now, Conor would get in people's faces, and, you know, a lot of these guys were intimidated. They didn't want to do anything back. When he did that to Nate, though, Nate Diaz goes like, whatever, and you could tell that Conor realized he's not intimidated at all. So what he did, he stepped it up. Suddenly he hit his hand. There was something out of character happened there. And I remember the boyfriend from my daughter, Shaq, he said he's going to lose. And I go, what do you mean? He said, boss, he never broke character like that. He's going to lose the fight. I go, you think so? He says, yeah. And then he lost the fight. Then it happened again, but not with these two fighters. It happened with Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm. Same concept here. Ronda storms into her face at the stare down the day before, and Holm is just looking at her like, whatever. And you see Rousey starting to think, and suddenly she gets angry, she starts pointing out of character. And I'm looking at my wife, I go, well, based on what Shaq yesterday said, the boy of the last time said, I think she's going to lose. I mean, she never was like this before. And what do you know? She lost the fight. Now, I'm not 100% convinced it's all to do with that, but I'm telling you, if you control your emotions, you will be fighting much, much better. So it's very important to keep all the emotions away. Just be nice and relaxed, you know. If you can control anger, you know, and this is something that Bruce Lee would say, controlled anger, that's how you fight. That's what I was able to do in fighting without anger. So you ball it up and then you release it. I always talked about it as, yes, you bottle it up like it's a bubble, and when you punch, you just let it go. And then you explode with your punches. What anger is doing to you is, instead of punching from here, which is undetectable, to do this. If I'm angry, I really want to hurt you. So now I'm lowering up. Now I'm telegraphing. That's why before a fight, I would always get in people's heads, you know, by saying really subtle things about my opponent. Don't say the whole time, oh, he's bad, I'm better, I'm this, I'm that. Don't do that, because if he beats you, now you lost against somebody who's really not good because you made him not good. So always give him a little praises. This is important, but also it's important to do a little dig. I would say, yeah, I've got a really great opponent. You know, I'm just better in every area. But no, he's really good, and and that thing that I said under my breath, I'm just better in every single area. A lot of people don't hear that, but you know who's going to hear it? My opponent's going to hear it. That's the only thing he hears, and he goes, "What, mother?" Okay, and now they're starting to get angry, and that's what I want, because then they start loading up. Don't be afraid of anger. Embrace it. The more angry they are, the more dumb mistakes they might. Why do you think all these special forces and all control their breathing? Because breathing controls the vagus nerve. Do you see ever like a special forces guy like this when he tries to take an aim, or a sniper? No, they breathe perfectly. Belly breathing. No movement whatsoever in their shooting. You see, it's very important you're in control. And not only that, once you do belly breathing, you also stimulate the vagus nerve, which is responsible for dropping your heart rate, your blood pressure, and in turn, of course, when that happens, your cortisol level, so you stay nice and calm. So there's one more trick that I used to do in the dressing room before the fight, and I also didn't know why I was doing it. I would know that it would make me feel really good. Two things. One was to calm my nerves down. And what I was doing there was to take deep breaths and then breathe out. Hum. I would hum. And I would feel the humming. If you do a sound, this is my head. If I go lower in sound, I know this sounds really crazy, but try it out. You're going to feel I'm 100% right. It starts vibrating the belly. And it would make me very calm. It would drop my blood pressure and my heart rate as well. And now, many years later, when I took all these breathing courses, now I realize what I was doing. They say by breathing diaphragmatically, you stimulate the vagus nerve, the nerve I just talked about, that drops everything and that makes you calm and relaxed. What also drops and stimulates the vagus nerve is singing, humming, splashing cold water in the face, massaging your ears on the inside with like Q-tips, like a bunch of stuff. But humming and singing, and I go, wait a minute. So unknowingly, I was breathing diaphragmatically, deep breaths in with longer exhales, really good to stimulate the vagus nerve. I didn't know I was doing that, but I was automatically doing it because I was breathing in, and my humming would make sure that my exhale was longer than my inhale. So I combined both of them. Hum, and really focus on your belly to vibrate. Now, there's another one that I do, is when you have a headache. And now you focus on your head to vibrate. The same thing, I was breathing in, and then I start, it's a little higher sound, and I start massaging my skull. I know, this sounds really crazy, but I all used to do that before a fight in the dressing room when I had no clue what I was doing, and now everything is making sense. So please try it out. Don't wave this away and you go like, oh, breathing, I've been breathing since I was a baby, because we all breathe wrong, my friend. If I was a professional athlete for many years and you see me during a world title fight breathing like that, that is just not a good look. And if I look at all the fighters now in all the big organizations, I see many of these guys breathe wrong. And simple 5 minutes a day, 4.5 probably, will take care of that problem. Think about that. Working out your breathing muscles so they don't have to steal. That's gassing. You know what gassing is? The big word for that is metaborflex. That's what the doctors will say, but that's the same as gassing. Gassing is when, like for instance, you're running a hill and your legs are getting tired, and now your body starts regulating the blood flow with the oxygenated blood. It starts restricting it going to the legs. But why, boss? The legs need it, yeah. But you know who need it more? Your breathing muscles, because your breathing muscles are the #1 priority in the body. The #1. Water is 2, food is 3. You don't do this for 3-4 minutes, you're dead. So focus on that. And that's what your body does. It starts stopping all the blood flow, the oxygenated blood to the legs, and sends it to the breathing muscles. Now, if you update those breathing muscles, they don't have to steal the blood anymore from your limbs, and your freaking endurance goes up. So really look into that, because it's good for everything, like I said, especially stamina and staying relaxed. All right, well, I'm going to have to close this thing out. Maybe only 1 ice cube, because too much it will give me a freaking brain freeze. Oh, I thought there was something else. Oh, come here, buddy. Okay, what? Just what? See if I can slide this thing. Bottoms up, right? Ooh! Might as well clean it out. Yeah. You know what should be good? A little sugar in this. Sugar? Yeah, why not, right? Sugar. Look at this, how cool this is. This is a glass with a bullet, strong glass. Whoa. All about keeping the planet safe, guys. This is very important. Always recycle, right? You know, if you make your own, like for instance, tea, just put it in an old bottle that you have somewhere that maybe somebody else drank, and just put it in here, because then you keep the earth going, all right? So if you have tea and you make your own nice little tea, like I just had, just put it in a bottle that you have. This case, it's a Jim Beam. Oh, okay. Wait, now I see it. Yeah, you might have thought that I was drinking whiskey. Nah, I wouldn't do that to you. All right, everybody, Godspeed. Be calm, be relaxed. Make sure that you stay calm. Bring all your gear that you need to fight with on board, because most of the time we're all creatures of habit, and we all want our lucky shorts or our lucky mouthpiece or our lucky whatever it is. Make sure that you bring that with you if you're traveling, so it cannot get lost, because this is very important. You want to have everything perfectly set, but then also you want to be prepared for things that if something goes wrong. Always know in the back of your head, if something goes wrong, life goes on. Emotions are not going to do anything. Right now in politics, you know, when you see emotions and people pushing each other out of the family, guys, it's opinions. Relax. It's just an opinion. If I say I like pink and somebody else like green, you know, I'm not going to be angry at the guy and I say, hey, listen, man, I want you to have pink as your favorite color. This is very important. I want you to change to pink. I don't want to. No, you want to change. You want to get out of the family. That's exactly the same what we're doing right now. It's only the opinion is a different subject. It's politics. Stay away from that. If you're being for a fight, I would relax. Stay away from all that crap, because you need your mind to relax. Oh, one more super hint that I'm going to give you right now. Oh, this is like EPO. Oh, I'm going to talk about that, yes, but natural EPO, guys. So that means you're going to get more oxygen in your blood, which is going to help you tremendously. So there's a story attached. Long time ago, I did my scuba diving course, and I also wanted to dive with nitrox. Nitrox is like 37% oxygen. Normally oxygen, I believe it's like 19-20% or something like in the air. Nitrox is much higher. And what nitrox does, once you start diving and you go below 1 bar, which is 20 feet, or even you go to 40 feet, which is 2 bars, you can't go too low, though, I think, because it becomes poison at a certain depth, but that's, you're gonna have to go far deep. You start storing that oxygen into your system. And I remember I had a hangover on the day that I had to do the nitrox course. I already passed my other course, but the nitrox course. And I had a friend with me that I met on the course, and he also had a hangover. He didn't want to do it because he was afraid something was going to happen. I told him, I said, listen, the instructor told us that if you, for instance, have a hangover and you dive with nitrox, when you come out, you're going to feel great again, because it stores the oxygen in your body. And dude, I guarantee you, if I would be fighting these days, my last week, I will be diving every single day. Nice and relaxed, stay away from social media, dive with nitrox, and make sure you go 1 or 2 bars underwater, that's 20 or 40 feet, you go under, and then that pressure puts it in your system. You're gonna have better stamina, and it's completely legal to do. So, that's my extra gift to you. I should have said it from the beginning. I say, wait till I give you a gift at the very end. You know, they always do that. All right, everybody, Godspeed, party on. And if it's a fight, fight on. And if it's anything else on. Take care.